Earlier this week, the Joe Biden campaign announced a group of new staff hirings in the state of Texas, aiming to flip the historically conservative state that has voted for every Republican presidential candidate since 1976, when Democrat Jimmy Carter swept across the South. By doing this, Joe Biden seems determined to win Texas's massive 38 electoral votes this November, and polls have shown that he is at least competitive as any Democrat has been in decades. In fact, at the time of recording this video, Joe Biden currently holds a 0.2 point edge over Donald Trump in 538's polling average. Words can't truly describe just how significant this is. Looking back at 2016, not a single poll shown on Real Clear Politics had Hillary Clinton ahead of Donald Trump, with the final RCP polling average before election night having Donald Trump 11.7 points ahead. So today we're going to discuss whether or not Joe Biden should make a serious effort to win the Lone Star State. There are plenty of arguments on both sides, but we'll start out with the pros. First of all, it's important to acknowledge that if it weren't for the severely negative public opinion of President Trump's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic in the United States, Texas would not be anywhere near as competitive as it is right now. That being said, Texas has been plotted by pundits on the left as a sleeping giant for the Democratic Party over the past decade. With an abysmal 51.1% voter turnout in 2016, Texas ranked 46th out of all American states, only ahead of Tennessee, West Virginia, Utah, and Hawaii. This can be attributed to a number of things. For one, many registered Democrats in years past have felt as if their vote won't matter in a state as traditionally red as Texas. Second, a large percentage of Texans are young people and Latinos, two demographics that are typically less likely to vote than the general population. Additionally, the voter ID requirement in place since 2013 is also said to have played a significant role. And finally, decades of Republican dominance at a statewide level has eroded resources for rival Democrats, often stifling competition. All of this being said, there are loads of indicators pointing towards a surge in voter turnout in years to come. Nationwide, we have never seen such early engagement in a general election from younger voters. This comes as no surprise in a political environment as polarized as it is today. In Texas, the Trump administration's crackdown on illegal immigration and the president's use of heated language to describe immigrants from Central America has energized Latino voters like never before. We have seen evidence of this in the 2018 midterm Senate race between insurgent Democrat Beto O'Rourke and incumbent Ted Cruz. Receiving more votes than any other Democrat in Texas history, O'Rourke turned an expected safe Senate seat into a 2-point loss seemingly out of nowhere. Not only that, but fundraising was off the charts, with a record-breaking $80 million being poured into his campaign. So what does this mean for 2020? Clearly, the Biden campaign will be looking to focus on turning out younger, Latino, and African American voters across the state, especially in the Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio metropolitan areas. And there is already some evidence of Democratic enthusiasm this year, with a new record set by 955,000 Texas Democrats that voted in the recent Senate primary election, which is twice the number that voted in the party's 2018 governor primary. So voter turnout is one thing, but what else should motivate the Biden campaign to make a push for Texas? Well, let's take a look at the 2016 electoral map between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. As you can see, Donald Trump won with 306 electoral votes to Hillary Clinton's 232. However, if Clinton had hypothetically won the state of Texas, she would have defeated Donald Trump with 270 electoral votes to his 268. And that's with her losing in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida, Ohio, and Arizona, all of which have Joe Biden at a significant polling lead as of right now. President Trump would have to win in not just all of these states, but he'd also need to flip a state like Nevada, Minnesota, Colorado, or Virginia, where Biden is expected to win by considerable margins. So the fundamentals are certainly there. If Biden wins Texas, there is virtually no chance he could possibly lose the Electoral College. That alone is a pretty convincing argument. Realistically speaking though, if Biden does win Texas, it would likely just push him over the 400 electoral mark, as he is actually likelier to win according to polls and forecasts in Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and Arizona. This would put him at 405 electoral votes to Trump's 133. A pure blowout. But that's actually where the con arguments begin, because surely it would be a more efficient and effective use of resources to focus on all of the states that he is likelier to win and would still ensure him an electoral college victory. Believe it or not, all he actually has to do is win in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. 3 states that went to Trump by a combined 90,000 votes in 2016, and have Biden ahead by 7, 9, and 8 points respectively. You could also make the argument that Florida, a state where he leads by 7 points in polls, would have virtually the exact same ensured victory effect, with its 29 electoral votes carrying almost as much weight. Simply put, the path to victory for the Biden campaign does not include Texas, with it really only being a state that would flip in a landslide scenario. With all of this in mind, though, you could also make the case that funneling money into Texas would force Trump to counter that and spend more of his resources in Texas than he normally would have to, and thus take away from his focus on other swing states that he really needs to win. So what do you think? Should the Biden campaign increase their Texas staff and up the TV ad money, or is it a waste of limited resources? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, like and subscribe if you haven't already, as well as check out all of the other content on my channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and tune in next time.